How do you get Pikachu on a bus? You Pokemon. In my sketchbook tour video, I shared a lot of Pokemon drawings that I did previously, and it got me thinking, I haven't done a Pokemon drawing in forever. I thought I'd give it another chance with a dynamic duo, Charizard and Rayquaza, dragons of course, in colour pencil. But before we get into the drawing, let me know down in the comments which two Pokemon you would like to see next. You pick two? Cool, let's go. My normal process when it comes to larger pieces of artwork is to do a little thumbnail drawing of the composition and the basic visuals I want to get down. But this time I was really struggling. When it comes to Pokemon and other IP, I get a little bit apprehensive about ruining someone's favourite character. But as I was sitting there, I looked around my room and noticed something. I'd recently bought a Charizard toy, and then I just thought, wait a second, I can use this as a reference. So I busted out the iPhone camera with the 0.5 lens, took some reference photos, knowing this would give me a vote of confidence that I could pull off drawing Charizard correctly. I didn't want Charizard to be on his own though, so I decided to add the other dragon that I really like from Pokemon, Rayquaza. Once I had my thumbnail sketch, I would scan it into the computer, enlarge it into A4 paper, reprint that drawing out at a lower opacity, sketch over that drawing until I'm happy with the final sketch, and then finally grab some tone tan paper, reprint the final sketch onto the tone tan paper, and we're ready to colour pencil. Colour pencils that I'll be using today are a set of colour pencils that I have previously used in an older drawing when I first kind of experimented with this style of using a lot of different colours all in one. So I went ahead and checked all the colours that I used on this original drawing, which is this skull piece. Essentially just different variations and shades of blues, pinks, added in highlights of yellow and greens. The green will make more sense later because of the Rayquaza. But for me personally, in my process, I love starting off with the highlights, especially on tone tan paper. I've mentioned it before in a video, but as the toned paper acts as like a mid-tone, once you add the highlights, you can kind of see the image come to life already. It's kind of like a cheat code in knowing where to put the shadows next, and then I just work down to darker colours over time. So once I have like all the highlights done, I'll most likely start with the head of one of the characters or animals I'm doing, and I'll render it fully just so I know how to render the rest of the piece and like the kind of process that I'm implementing for this specific artwork. To me, it's essentially just like a quick dopamine hit. Once I've done the full render of the head, I'm like, cool, this is like a great reward. It looks awesome. I can now carry on and do the rest of the piece knowing full well it's going to look consistent across the whole artwork. So I'm already so happy with this composition. I really wanted to play with perspective. Something I'm doing in my art journey at the moment is figuring out how I can add more to a composition. Not that it feels cluttered or like visually overwhelming, that it all feels cohesive, but there's just like a few more elements placed in the composition so it's not just say Charizard on a blank background. Now for the Charizard specifically in this artwork, I wanted to make sure that although there's a lot of different colors going on, like I'm throwing in some pinks, some yellows, I only really wanted those to be shown through the highlights. I wanted the core Charizard to feel like it's blue or iridescent. That way, both the shapes of the drawing and the colour are still recognisable characteristics of Charizard. Also, side note for all you Pokemon fans, I keep calling him just Charizard. This is Mega Charizard X. I just think this version of Charizard just looks so cold. Really like the extra details that they've added on him for this Mega version. And before anyone says, oh, you're not a real fan, you'll just pick the most popular Pokemon. I've been a Charizard fan since day one. I got this plushie before you were born. But anyway, thank you so much for all your support on my last video. It's done really well, and it was really nice to go through a lot of my old artworks and realise like how far I've come as an artist, and I've got such a long way to go, but I'm just still loving and enjoying the process. And it was just nice to show some of the older artworks that I had in my sketchbook that some of you guys probably would have never seen, because we've got a new few faces around here. I know some people have been following me on YouTube from my Instagram that would have known and seen these pieces, but it just means a lot to me to show my process and to show that art is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes time to learn this craft. You've got to be willing to fall in love with the process. Looking back is the only reason I'm doing some Pokemon drawings now, and I feel like big thing I'm trying to do this summer is like reconnect to my childhood. I think there's a lot to be gained from looking at things you used to love and maybe recognizing why you stopped liking them. Or I always used to think Pokemon was a bit nerdy. All these things that I was into were a bit too nerdy to like talk about or to enjoy, but now I'm like a full-on adult that pays the rent money and the bills. I'm not really bothered about what people think about me anymore, and it's just so nice to connect with that part of me again and like resurface it. And I feel like, especially in my art journey and like drawing these things, it's almost like healing a part of me at the moment. I don't know how else to say it. Bought like a lot of digital media, like the stuff I grew up on, like CD players, my like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, watching DVDs again, and having like physical media, trying to come away from my phone, connect with all these touch points. And I have at the moment like this setup of all this like physical media in my art studio, and it's really helped me focus. I obviously use my phone to record, but just having something on in the background that makes me feel like a little kid again while I'm drawing. I could honestly just be at my mum's house on the floor drawing, listening to like cartoons in the background. It's so fun. And if anything's going to get me off the internet at the moment, then this is just like such a great thing for me to be doing. And I implore, if you're having a shit time on the internet, or you feel like you go on your phone and all of a sudden you're got a tight feeling in your chest and you want to come off it, just invest in some old technology, man. Like honestly, we get no adverts on that. Like I'm putting on CDs so I don't get adverts on Spotify, or I'm playing my 3DS. Like I never had a 3DS either, and I bought one, and it's like giving me so much joy playing the old Pokemons. Obviously this is heavily dependent on if you have access to disposable income, and I understand I'm in a privileged position where I can go out and buy a 3DS and relive my childhood like quite easily, and I'm really thankful for that position I'm in. But there's definitely cheaper alternatives. I've been going to charity shops, which are like thrift shops in the US, and I found an old TV for £10 that I could run a DVD player from, and I'd found the DVD player from a car boot sale, which is like a yard sale, for £10 as well. So that's 20 quid, and I've got a summer of like watching fun DVDs. And the only time I'll ever buy a new DVD is if I can't find it in like an old charity shop or like a vintage store, you know. And I must say, this kind of thought process and locking my phone away, and honestly it's been harder than I thought it would be. I do tend to resort to going onto my phone quite a lot in my day-to-day life, but I've really tried to get my screen time down. It's really helped me in my art, and I feel like I'm spending a lot of my time drawing, which is like something I've always wanted to do. I felt like I never had enough time, but a lot of that time was just being spent on my phone, and I didn't realize it until I was scrolling TikTok for 3 hours and I noticed the time, and I've still been in bed. Having the urge to draw every day and like sit down, be quiet in my room, put a DVD on or something is just really, really helping at the moment. And I know my younger self is probably looking at me right now, kicking himself, being like, wow, you can draw a Charizard and a Rayquaza? Like, that's crazy. Like, I was never able to draw this when I was a kid. So having like this skill set and the knowledge to do this now is like really fulfilling. This is what I mean by healing my inner childhood. Little Lewis, I'm doing this for you. I really want to show you a quick tour of like the setup I've got in the art studio at the moment. If anyone has any recommendations for games or DVDs, then drop them in the comments below. Would love to hear about if you use physical media, if you're kind of having a no phone summer as well. Like, it's definitely quite trendy and a bit of a movement at the moment, but it's like one of the movements I really enjoy, so not going to complain too much when I'm kind of sick of being advertised to. I'm sick of not really owning anything and just essentially renting off these companies. You know what, it's even helped me like with my inspiration. A lot of the time I will kind of auto go to Instagram or Pinterest for inspiration and see beautiful artworks of all different styles, like lovely finished pieces, and then the self-doubt creeps in and I start thinking I should be doing this, and I should be making art like this way or in this style. And this sort of language and the words I speak to myself, I feel like are really damaging to my self-esteem. I wouldn't tell someone else that they should be doing X, Y, and Z, or your art is not doing the thing it should be doing. It's all a state of self-expression, and I should be leaning into that more and not harming myself by talking to myself like this. So yeah, essentially coming off my phone this summer is like very impactful to my life. So I think if I can give you like one piece of advice from this video, it would be to shut yourself off from the opinion of social media and trust your gut. Your art style is calling from inside of you. Just notice it. Okay, that's probably more advice for myself, but if someone takes that positively and that has like a positive impact on you, then I'm all for that. That's all I have to say right now. I'm gonna play some music and let you vibe out to the rest of the video. So a little bit about the drawing now. I wanted to make sure that both the Rayquaza and Charizard looked different but still in my style. So using kind of the same colours, but there's more a dominant colour. So Rayquaza has a dominant green and then Charizard has a dominant blue, which I'd mentioned before, just so they had some sort of variation between them so they could have like a little bit of distinction. And quite frankly, I think it turned out quite beautiful. Really happy about this piece. I'd be keen to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I just think I recently have stepped up my style quite a bit and really locked in like how I use these color pencils now. Definitely time to start using acrylic. I really want to do that again soon. I think I need a few pieces where I experiment with that and get comfortable with actually using paint. But for now, not a lot is beating the smoothness and like the crispiness that tone tan paper has for color pencils. I really love it. It feels so nice, and I feel like I can push them quite far in terms of like using them for a background. Like I added like a lot of clouds and atmospheric kind of feeling with these stars. I think it turned out really nice. I ran out of storage on my phone, so I couldn't record this last bit, but at the end I kind of darkened the bottom part of the drawing. This was to intentionally feel like Rayquaza was further away in the picture. I added a lot of glow around the stars so they would appear like they were shooting through the sky, and then I also added a white Posca paint pen to add some small speckled stars to feel like we're further up in the sky. You'll notice them on the shooting stars as well to make them speckly and cute. That is going to do it for the end of the video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you like these kind of drawings, then you might like a couple of my other videos, so check those out. Don't forget to comment the 2 Pokemon you want to see as the next duo. Okay, see ya.